questions that I've been hearing, and then allow the rest of the committee to have an opportunity to do the same. So, just as we saw in last year's election, when the business administrator for the township was a topic for the voters, there is clearly a large group of residents that supports hiring a business administrator and a group that doesn't support it. The main argument I've been hearing not to hire a business administrator is to focus on saving tax money, but there is also concern that a business administrator will change the character of the township. As I and others said 3 years ago when we hired our first business administrator, this committee sets the policies that impact the township's character. The business administrator takes direction from and provides advice to this committee, but does not have the authority to change the fundamental character of the township that we all value so much. On the question of tax savings, the argument I read is that we should not hire a new person, but instead give raises to current employees to do the tasks of the business administrator. In my mind, that doesn't save money if the current salaries are increased, so I don't follow that argument. Furthermore, this argument would acknowledge that the current employees are not currently tasked with the role of the business administrator, since it proposes additional salary. But if we're spending the money on hiring a person with additional expertise and additional capacity to complement the existing employees that we have. On the topic of what is the cost of the actual person we're proposing to hire, as I said at the last meeting, the cost works out to about $26.50 per household. Looking at it another way, it's less than 1% of the 2022 budget that we'll introduce tonight. And since we had a business administrator last year at a similar cost, there's no significant financial impact to hiring a business administrator this year. I also previously summarized the qualifications of the candidate in the previous meeting, the one we're considering tonight. And the process that we've gone through over the last 4 months, we received 15 applications for the position. The committee interviewed 6 different candidates. The candidate we'll consider tonight has been an attorney for 24 years with experience in contracts, personnel management, and real estate. She was chief judge of the municipal court of Passaic for 4 years, and she was elected county clerk of Passaic County for 5 years. This background and these skills, in my opinion, will add to the efficiency of our township and provide additional capacity to support our volunteer efforts and address resident issues. But to me, it's not just can we afford a business administrator, not to have a business administrator. It's easy to understand that the township belongs to each of us as residents. It absolutely does. Through our taxes, each of us pays for the roads and buildings, parks and services. As your elected representatives, each of us aims to spend your money as efficiently as possible. The township administrator is tasked with improving the operation and purchasing practices of the township to help us with that goal. What's not always as obvious is that the risks and liabilities of the township also belong to each of us. Municipalities are frequent targets of lawsuits because theoretically the township can pay enormous settlements because of its ability to tax residents to pay for such damages. People often wonder why we as the governing body members pay so much attention to potential risks, whether risks to our employees doing their jobs or to volunteers helping out, or to someone just walking across the parking lot. A key role of the township administrator is to evaluate and abate risks to the township. The fact that the candidate we would consider tonight is a former judge and an attorney would be an important skill in identifying and abating risks like that. Now, this kind of risk avoidance doesn't overlap with the expertise, for example, of our certified public works manager, who ensures safety protocols are
efforts made by the prior administrator. I believe that a lot of ones are very shortfall. LoSAP still has unanswered questions that need to be answered, and I worked closely with Jamie with that. And he handed off to me a lot of the information that I ran to the fire department with. So I do believe that LoSAP made some headway, but there's still a lot that needs to be done, and there's unanswered questions. I can think of 2 individuals from this township. As far as the CWA, I felt that the committee did a good job negotiating. It was over an extended period of time, but we brought the ball to the 1-yard line and then handed it off to Jamie. So I don't see that it's as effective as it could be with the administrator. And as far as the emergency management handbook, the OEM, we all know that we've lost Joe Marizio, but Joe Marizio did a lot of work on that himself to help the administrator see the hurdles that were in front of him. So I don't agree completely with what you said. I do agree that times are changing, but I do think that there was a lot left by the administrator that still needs to be done. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, also to our fine, my brothers and sisters of Lebanon Township, I served with you guys back in 1976, and you guys doing a hell of a job. I remember it was only about 5 or 6 of us then, look at you today. Now, because the power went out last night, I lost everything on my computer, and I had to rewrite it again, so I'm burning the midnight oil. First of all, I am Fred W. Janus, a resident of Lebanon Township, going on 50 years. As of April 15th, where my wife and I will be celebrating our 50th anniversary, which is income tax day. We're getting late to the On November 6, 1976, Chief Gustav Hens hired me as a patrolman. And on the sign pass, I took the position of patrolman in Tewksbury Township. During my residency here in Lebanon Township, I became active in many school activities and several organizations, such as the Workful Master Post Lodge number 6 of Freedom Accepted Masons, and also Grand Tall Cedar of Hunterdon County Forest number 13, where we help work out with muscular dystrophy and all. At each organization, I was given the task where I had the responsibility of making important decisions. But as any other leader, I relied on my officers and committee members for advice. Granted, there were some uphill battles, but at the end, issues were resolved. Everyone went away as a happy camper. I had the honor of knowing many of the township mayors and committee members. They all seemed to work together as a team. Closed-door hearing, where they pulled the wool over our eyes, and said our word is final. One thing that stands out was there were residents who objected to almost everything imaginable. There was one mayor who we all knew and respected well, Jay Weeks, Semper Fi, do or die, a tough Marine. He had a way with words, not saying the other mayors did not. Jay convinced them that their input was important. If issues arose and there was no happy medium, then the residents would vote on it, not the committee. Which leads me to this, Mr. Mayor. Which leads me to this, Mr. Mayor, I congratulate you on your 5th term of office as mayor. I was on the impression that mayor's seat rotated each year, where every member of this body was given the God-given right to guide this township. So that if any issue arose, they conducted themselves with an open mind, and should such an issue arise, then was brought up for a vote from the residents, and again, not the administration. As a result, your present administration won by a slim margin. What your committee did was not illegal, but unethical. I am sure that our past mayors are turning over in their graves, seeing how our township affairs are being handled. One more page. I do recall attending a special meeting where you wanted to hire an administrator from the outside of Lebanon Township. And after much discussion, where many objected, and they were asked where to put on a ballot. You gazed at the audience, you thanked us for coming out, and stated that you voted to hire an administrator. You pulled the wool over our eyes. Well, as for me and many others who attended, it was like a smack in our face. Well, here we are again for the same reason. Now you want to hire another administrator that is a lady from Newark, which I presume, New Jersey. And from what we hear, she has filed 2 lawsuits from the reason I don't know. Will we be number 3? Look, we are asking you all to think with an open mind. Listen to those who object and those who are in favor. I'm sure both sides have difference of opinion. If a decision cannot be reached, then put up for a ballot. I have the remedy. I have a remedy that should make some of us happy. If we really need the administrator, then why not hire from the township? For the past 2 years, our country has had its share of setbacks due to the pandemic. Many have, and even their businesses. Now here we are again, this time biting the bullet. Due to an incompetent president We are subjected. Hey, give me a minute, I just lost my clay. Okay. Due to the incompetent president, we are here subjected to higher prices of everything we need to survive. And to top it off, we are at the brink of another World War III. Russia making threats toward the Ukrainian people, killing innocent men, women, and children. On the other side, the dictator of North Sea. Many of you were not even born during the Cuban Missile Crisis. On October 16, 1962, our destroyer, which I was aboard, were deployed. Instead of going to Vietnam, we were deployed to the Cuban to Cuba, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to intercept Russian freighters were transferring nuclear warheads to Cuba. My ship had the task of staying behind approximately 200 feet behind one of those freighters. Back home, no more than 90 miles, our families were building bomb shelters. And in the event of the war, I'm reliving this shit all over again, all right? In the event of a war, we had no form of escape. If a warhead went off, we would perish from the face of this earth. Many of us who have survived this long are reliving the same as then. Right now, I should be home with my family and trying to gather my thoughts on how to salvage what we have to survive. But no, here we are again, fighting for what we believe in, saving our town from spending money that we may need for more serious issues. Mr. Mayor, as a former law enforcement officer in Lebanon Township and Tewksbury Township, I got those gut feelings. 90% of the time I was right. Now I have the same feeling that you already made up your mind. I hope I'm wrong. But if it comes to the same decision as in the past, and this individual is hired, and for some unexpected reason, through no fault of ours, and she is her hand, and those who stood behind you, who will be responsible to pay the bill, not ours. Thank you. Not here fighting for what we really believe is right. Do this on just close your eyes. Let's hear them out.
I don't think anybody in this audience knows this issue more than I do. I sat on the committee for 10 years and was mayor. I worked with the past administrator, who was a good man, nothing bad to say about him. There's just no need to go that way. We had common ground. I was not bitter that he got the job because I was opposed to it. My committee members. I want that to sink in for a minute. This administrator was a shared service with Tewksbury. They lost their administrator, and Lebanon Township was asked to help. We did a shared service. Tewksbury operated with an administrator because they had little staff. In Lebanon Township, we employed clerk, deputy clerk, planning board clerk, board of adjustment secretary, zoning officer, tax collector, assessor, multiple attorneys. The township committee members act as liaisons to all volunteer groups, including fire department, police department, DPW, etc. Why do we need an administrator that is protected by ordinance that needs a supermajority to remove if that person performs poorly?
There ain't no way he's that, okay? Not with this mess he's got to deal with. So, Mark has been here 45 out of his 51 years. We actually got caught sophomore year kissing on the second floor of Voorhees High School. That was back when kids got Scoutmaster, and he's always just said, I want to live as an active member of this township that I love. His mom taught first grade at Valley View. Caterpillar Grove Playground was her spearhead. This is what he lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes. And when he was den leader and Scoutmaster and Cubmaster, and our boys went for their Eagle Scout, he said, I gotta step off. It would be unethical for me to be Scoutmaster while they're trying to get their Eagle. They gotta earn it themselves. I'm out. and he stepped off, because that's his character. And when he said, I want to run for committee, I knew nothing about politics. I kind of still really don't, to be honest. But he would come home and he would talk about the meetings, and I would listen, okay, great, an ordinance, and all. But then I would go, well, why can't you say this? Why can't you do that? And he goes, no, you don't understand. It's so complicated. You can't say this, you can't do this, you gotta wait for that. This meeting, we got, okay. And I would smile and nod and listen to more and more about the meetings every other Wednesday night. And go, well, wait, why can't you do this? And I know everything is the more I learn about doing this role, the more I know there is to learn. It's that complicated. And he took his vacation time, and that man does not take a day off of work. I swear, I think if I needed a kid, and energy, and believe me, as his wife, I gotta go upstairs, I'm reading about something this, I gotta go talk on the phone, I gotta go to this meeting, how everybody else here is now suddenly an expert on something so complicated. I just don't get that. I really don't. And how we're gonna say, you don't know what you're doing, because they've spent so much time on this. And I'm going to tell you about no. No doesn't require any insight. No, don't do it. There's nothing you need to understand. There's nothing you need to educate about. Just don't do it. Don't spend our money. Yes requires that you got to ask questions. You got to understand. You got to dig in. But honestly, after asking, grilling him for years, I kind of get it, kind of don't. Because it's so freaking complicated. So I'm going to say that, and Deputy Mayor Law, when we were here the last time, Mr. Wonder in that same time frame, pre-pandemic, missed 10 meetings. 10. It goes to kids.
I'm being challenged to allow this conversation. I am on expressions of opinion.
I will finish by saying not everyone opposes a business administrator, and there were 2,875 votes for someone who supported a business administrator.
State your opinion, so please respect that. It's in your U.S. Constitution. It's right here. Maybe you should read it.
Christine DiLorenzo, Teetertown Road. I've been a resident for about 23 years. I have concerns regarding Ms. Brown. She's a full-time lawyer. I also found on the internet that she is the Assistant General Counsel in the Office Technology Development at Memorial Sloan Kettering. According to her profile on MSKCC's site, she joined them this year. She handles contracts for them, of which she states on her website that she has experience in contracts. I question why Ms. Brown is seeking a third job in Lebanon Township if she has 2 other positions. How can she possibly give citizens of our township the appropriate attention we need when she has legal caseloads and handles contracts for MSKCC? His experience juggling more than one job. Concern number 2, Ms. Brown lists Philip Fenster and Andre Treviso under attorneys on her website, yet both men have their very own professional websites. Curious as to whether these attorneys work for or with Ms. Brown, I emailed Mr. Treviso last Friday asking him if he works for Ms. Brown. He did not respond to my email. I called Mr. Treviso's office yesterday morning. He picked up my phone call. I posed the question to him, do you work for Ms. Brown? His reply was, I used to do consulting work for her. And then he abruptly ended the call. I called Mr. Fenster. I assume he no longer works with Ms. Brown either. When I called Mr. Treviso Monday morning, I noticed Ms. Brown's website had been taken down. Yeah. I don't know if Ms. Brown purposely has kept both men listed on her website all this time for appearances, or she couldn't find time to contact whomever takes care of her website to update it. Either way, Ms. Brown's website misrepresents and is not factual. That's serious, especially when it comes to rules of professional conduct. Prior to Ms. Brown taking her website down, I took screenshots of it. Concern number 3, Ms. Brown has an inclination to sue her employers. It's been stated before. She sued her two past employers, both of which were municipal agencies. She was hired as a temporary municipal judge for 1 year. She sued to keep her position. It has nothing to do with whistleblowing. As mentioned, she sued the mayor of Newark. That outcome of the lawsuit, Ms. Brown was terminated for a number of reasons. One caught my attention. The mayor did not trust her. In both lawsuits, Ms. Brown did not prevail. I'm surprised your committee doesn't find Ms. Brown's inclination to sue her employers troubling. What if Ms. Brown becomes dissatisfied with something, someone, or her position here in Lebanon Township like she did with her past employers? Concern number 4, according to Ms. Brown's website, she does not have the educational background as a business administrator. Any experience or a degree in business and finance disciplines. I would think the committee choose a candidate who has years of experience working as a business administrator to ensure the individual is familiar with industry-specific policies, procedures, regulations, and best practices.
That there was how many applicants for the job?
16.
Oh, so then my question would be to you, why don't you present to the town why you chose Ms. Brown over the other applicants, what her pros and cons are, and why can't we have an input on who you decide to hire, if that's what you guys so choose to do. But I do agree the fact there is many people here representing. There is higher tax bills. We're all struggling financially when it comes to businesses, gas, and everything else. You know, we have a school system, which is an issue when it comes to what's being pushed to our students. We get it back because, you know, there's a deficit in the budget. Our taxes are going to go up because of that. You know, and you really do need to hear us. Your decision, which could be a wrong decision again, is going to impact all of us, not just you. So you guys need to listen to us. Our voices count. We know the Constitution. We understand what your oaths were when you took them. Okay? And you need to represent them with a choice within our community. And that's pretty much it.
To Jeffrey Lane. I am opposed to hiring a business administrator, and the following reasons are this. One is a tax issue. Okay, although $37 on a $300,000 house or whatever figure you want to come up with is still a burden to us taxpayers. Okay, Jay brought up the school, again, that's going to be another burden. So we're looking at somewhere in between $100 to $500 a year of tax raise between the municipality and the borough. That's a problem. All right, we need to start saving money, cutting things. Fuel for the town is going up. The police department budget for fuel has to at least double from what it was. So we're reallocating money for things like that. It's a little savings, it's $37, but it's something.
All the way through. But you're having this thing tonight because of your failure, all of you. Your failure to tell the people why you think you need a business administrator.
should have shoved it down our throats. It's your fault. You didn't take the time to think we had enough intelligence to either agree or disagree. And I understand why it's so secret. You did it the last time, you shoved it down our throats, and then proudly you'll try to do it this time.
Available in the municipal building until May 4th. May 4th will be the public hearing for this. We have, let me give a summary of what we're introducing, and we'll go into more detail in the May 4th meeting. We've introduced a budget that meets the department funding requests for operations and for capital. It gets a little technical, but we have a moderate use of surplus, which is monies carried over from prior years in other places. It's what got us in trouble a few years ago. We have no borrowing, we're taking on no new debt, and the municipal tax rate increase in the budget that we're proposing is 1.8% above the 2021 level. That works out to 0.2995 per $100 valuation. The median value of a home in Lebanon Township is $352,600. On that median home, the municipal portion of your taxes for 2021 were $1,037. Based on our budget for 2022, that will increase $19 to $1,056. Lebanon Township is $6.844 million. The amount raised by property taxes is $2.79 million. 41% of the total of what we spend is raised by property taxes. The energy receipt tax is $2.63 million. That's about 38%. This is a long conversation. I'm just giving you some points for future looking into. That's an amount that the state, basically on Highway 31, the power plant that used to be there and the switching center, the state took that away from us some years ago. They collect some amount of tax on our total revenues. The total operating costs for Lebanon Township, which I define that as the amount that this committee can influence, then there are other costs for pension requirements and the like that we don't have any say in. Our salaries and wages for this coming year are $2.6 million. That's up 3.4%. There are a lot of factors in that, including the average salary increase, but then seniority bumps and things, so it works out to 3.4% increase. Other expenses, operating expenses for this year, $1.8 million. Those are up 1.5%. So this committee is doing its best to control those expenses. And as was mentioned, fuel costs are rising. We have, I don't have the exact number here, we have roughly 70% increase in our fuel budget over the actual spent last year because we see the costs rising so much.
And hold the tax rate flat this year by removing
Let me explain my thinking, which I've done in the past.
And work starts increasing, legal costs start increasing. If the person is here a couple of days a week and suddenly realize they can't keep up with it, maybe we're gonna have an assistant for that person. It can grow. So just keep that in mind, it's not all about the salary.
Mayor to your town road. Mayor, you said in an email to me, the salary is in the range we see in other small communities. 66,000 salary for 3 days, which on a full-time equivalent basis would be $110. Can you give us something on paper rather than out of the side of your mouth that this is the range?
We can take that in follow-up.
Because what I've seen on the internet for a small town like ours, $40,000 to $80,000. So if we could see something on paper, that would be great.
And one question I have is, if this person is hired back in the 2019, August 7th, 2019 meeting that was held in the school just in a different room, there were lots of people volunteering their services to help. Like we all have said, we have a lot of volunteers in this township, but they were ignored.
Secondly, did you hire this person? Other comments made in 2019. One was by Mr. Duckworth, because I went back and listened to that 3.5-hour audio. Another was made by Mrs. Law, that there should be a probationary period, a 90-day probationary period. So, if that is an option, would that option be used? And how would that person, a business administrator, be reviewed? Who would review their performance? And if once reviewed, would that be put to a vote by the people to allow us to speak our voice to let you know whether we really feel it's necessary after a probationary period? A lot of jobs I had, well, not a lot, 2 main corporate jobs I held. Everyone hired, you were told, you will be reviewed in 90 days. And if you didn't meet the standards, make the cut, whatever term you want to use, they said, thank you for your 90 days, but you're not doing the job.
I have never witnessed. I was here last time, and it was railroaded down their throats. I don't care what you say, because you're being out of control too. Okay? How dare you shove this down our throats? Why is this woman, who is this fabulous lawyer, taking a job that's going to give her $53 an hour? Any lawyer that I know gets what? $300 an hour?
Not this one.
It's going to be $53 an hour. She's going to take that. You've got to be kidding me. So she's not worth pieces. You are also going to be liable. You are ready to be held liable for all her actions. When she says you, I
All right.
Now I have a question for you.
Yeah, go to hell.
I want to clarify the benefits. If an employee works over 20 hours, is benefits included then?
I only have the interest of using my best judgment.
On the ballot in November.
Says a lot. I have a motion. Anybody get a second?
I agree with Bev's statement that there is an ability for us to put a question into the November a general election. It would be an interpretive statement. It's non-binding, but it's a survey of the township. And the pros, the cons, whatever, will all be heard with your vote, and it can be delivered to this township. All we have to do is create a resolution among us 5, the township committee here. If we were to make a resolution that states that we would like to have this on the November ballot, we have the interpretive statement, we vote on it. If it's approved, goes through legal, and it goes down to the county. We have to get it to the county by August 19th. And it goes on the November general election, and the vote would be heard by Lebanon Township across the board. Chart that we showed how many votes people get, it would include everyone. And I would second this, and I would encourage somebody to have the guts to make this vote a better way. Please. That we put it on. So I have a second. In this ordinance, when you have a major majority to remove, there should be a major majority to approve. You should have a unanimous decision here on that hiring, or at least a major majority. It can't be a major majority to remove and then a simple majority to hire. It just makes no sense to me. He knows what's right for the town. But why wouldn't the whole committee agree to the individual when it's that many people out here that have concerns? Pros and cons, concerns. I just feel we have a group here that doesn't want to listen. And as far as the law is concerned, I'd rather rule my town myself than to have I can't have a 4-1. I can't put it into the ordinance because it's against the law, but it takes 4 to 1 to get the person out of there. My point is that when you have this much interest in a position, the committee should be somewhat a major majority or unanimous in the decision to vote for it. And apparently, we're not at that point. So I don't agree with the administrative position.
And I think the question, other judgment on the committee is not productive. I think we each bring our judgment.
Comes time to vote.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Courage.
They took away their voice, they don't want to hear from you.
Some people are trying to listen, so we need to.
You're clearly not listening.
Yeah, which one's
We'll take Mark's suggestion to, we need an adult in the room. Is that the reason you wanted the administrator that you said in the public meeting? Yeah. Person to do. Nobody can tell me what they, I mean, right now, we have seasoned DPW manager, seasoned clerk, seasoned police. I could see possibly in 2 years revisiting this, but for now, I do not know what the rush is, and we could hold the taxes flat.
There's a fight between him and her.
Just remember the committee people up there that want this.
Get a court injunction.
You lied to us. You said you heard us. You didn't listen to us. You lied tonight.
Can you please explain to me what you meant by that?
Court injunction to stop you from usurping the people's voice. That's it.
The reason I raised that question, my comment has to do with some of the comments that were made about the lawsuit. As many of you may know or may not know, I'm an attorney, I have an office in Lebanon County, I've had it for 30 years. I've heard mischaracterization of the lawsuits that were filed by this particular individual. I read the cases, they don't stand for what was said in public here today. Sometimes people have to sue to protect their rights. That's not
A motion for resolution 47, 2022.
Who's commuting?
I can't wait to get rid of you. What an asshole.
Hey Biden, how you doing? Hey, long speech.
The honorable people here that spoke before you, you have a motion for and a second for. I know my vote's going to be a no, but I would hope the mayor would recognize that this is the wrong way to go. And I hope that people will remember what happened tonight.
The people will remember.
Roll call vote.
Bill wasn't upset.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely not, and we don't need an administrator at this point in time.
I think it's time to bring Brian Wonder back.
You did it twice, Joyce. What's all the people were for tonight? Great work job. Good presentation.